Because Andrew is the champion of OGFFL. Welcome, everybody. I am your host, your commissioner, and now your previous champion, Mr. Robert Strano. Welcome, everybody. We all have to say congratulations to our new champion of OGFFL, Mr. Andrew Gumbiano. Now, Andrew, you may be getting this draft day come August sometime, but I still will have this trophy to make sweet love to for the next 8 months. So, until then, I will have my every single second possible to enjoy this bad boy. But let's get it going. So, of course, like we said, congratulations to Andrew, first-time champion in our league, which is always a fun time. Congratulations to Alex finishing second. Finished the second once again in the league. And Gio, the big winner of the year, besides Andrew, of course, winning the whole thing. Gio finishes in third place, winning back his money on top of his regular season winnings. So actually, we'll do it right now to go over the final payouts of the year. So, number one payout goes to Andrew, of course, $900. He wins for the first place. Second most payout went to Alex for his combining high scores and his second place victory. Third went to Gio, finishing in second on top of his first place regular season champ and his high scores. Then, of course, you got, a couple people with $100, myself, Rich and Mark, and a couple 50s, Joe, Matt, and Ramiro. Everybody else, hopefully next year we're going to get some more money payouts next year. Hopefully you win, get some high scores, maybe a new champion again next year. But those are your payouts. Congratulations to everybody for winning. You will get your money soon. Hopefully we'll do a little get-together like we did last year. I'll give out some money. If you cannot make it, I can always Venmo you the money as well. It is ready whenever you would like it. Or if you, like Rich and Mark want me to, I can keep the money and hold it for next year's league as well, and I'll keep that all noted here in my spreadsheet. But this video is first a congratulations to everybody for the great year, and specifically Andrew for the new champion. But I took a look, and like I said, for the past couple weeks, I wanted to look at the seasonal trades, in-season trades, how that affected each team in the trade. And I was finally able to do it today. Looked at it not only just total points for each player and each team, but looked at a game-by-game situation where if that team started their old players compared to their new players and how they did. So we're going to go over that right now. I'm just going to take a 2-second break, and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. So let's go into the trade. So there was basically, I think it was 5 trades that were of major importance to the league this year, it seems. It all started with my trade. It all started technically with George's trade with Gio, but we're going to get to that one later on. It's a little more important than my trades that happened. So my trade with Miguel, that was Latavius Murray and Brandon Cooks, because what that trade did is it got me to trade Brandon Cooks, Frank Gore, and James White over to Andrew, who for C.J. Anderson and Devontae Booker, who thus turns that James White and I think it was James White, Doug Baldwin, and Alan Hearns into Aaron Rodgers, Antonio Gates, and Doug Martin. So let's look at this first. So the first one, then we're going to go to later on. So the first we're going to look at is myself, how my trades of trading away Latavius Murray, Frank Gore, and James White, and in return getting technically Brandon Cooks for one game, and then Devontae Booker and C.J. Anderson for the rest of the season, what would that have done to my team? Well, my team would have gained 1 win, and that 1 win would have been against Ramazan in Week 11, and that's it. My team would have lost every other game the same way, would have won every other game the same way. The only difference is my team would have scored Let's see, up to 13, would have scored 1,460 points, which would have put me in the #1 position of points scored. But that's it. That's all that did to me. I thought maybe I lost a lot more points than I actually did, trading away Latavius Murray and Frank Gore. But the pickups I did and everything else kind of balanced it out a little bit. I lost out on 40 total points ever since week 8 of ever since technically week 8. But hey, week what is this? Okay, now my computer's freezing. I don't know what's going on. All right, there we go. Ever since week 6 when I traded away Latavius Murray for Brandon Cooks. But it is what it is. That's all that trade did for me. Nothing else. I would have been 4-9 instead of 3-10. So we move on to our buddy Andrew. Now, Andrew ended up trading away C.J. Anderson, Devontae Booker, Doug Baldwin, Allen Hurns, and Carson Palmer, and James White. But James White was kind of in and out. Didn't matter for him. For Brandon Cooks, Frank Gore, Aaron Rodgers, Doug Martin, and Antonio Gates, who we all know Andrew ended up winning the league. Well, let's see what happened if Andrew never made those trades. Let's see. So if Andrew doesn't make those trades, he ends up scoring, let's see, how many points less? He ended up with 1,295. He would have ended up scoring 1,223 points instead of 1,295. The games on a game-by-game basis, so Andrew finished with an 8-5 record. Andrew would have finished with a 6-7 record. Now we all know one 6-7 team made the playoffs in Joe. But the way that these games actually would have turned out with Andrew, Ed would end up with another win. And so Ed would have ended up with another win, and Ramiro would have ended up with another win. Now what that would have done is that would have made a 5-team tie at 6-7 for the league. So first place would have been Gio. And this is, we're only talking about if Andrew never made his trades with me and Ramazan. So Gio would have been #1 still. Alex would have been #2. Rich and Mark would have been #3. Nobody changes there. But what does change? Miguel would have been in the 4th spot. Joe would have been in the 5th spot with a 6-7 record. And Matt would have been in the 6th spot with a 6-7 record. Ramiro would have finished in 7th. Ed would have finished in 8th, and our champion, Mr. Andrew Gumbiano, would have finished in 9th place with a 6-7 record because he would have had less points than all of them. So your playoffs would have been, so your first round playoffs would have been Rich and Mark versus Matt, and would have been Joe versus Miguel. Now, what would have happened, all things equal, lineups stay the same, what would have happened if that was the case? Now, I understand maybe things would have changed. Players you play would have changed based on your opponent. But let's say all things equal, what would have happened? So what would have happened? So Joe would have beat Miguel. I think it was by like a percentage point. And Matt would have beat Rich and Mark. So you would have had Gio facing the 6th seed in Matt and Alex facing the 5th seed in Joe. What would have happened in the semifinals? Gio would have beat Matt, and Alex would have beat Joe. So your final would have been 1 versus 2, Gio versus Alex, and who wins the final? Our buddy Gio. So all because of Andrew making those 2 trades with myself and Ramazan, he not only surpassed himself from finishing in 9th place, but he made himself finish in 5th overall, or 4th overall, and won the whole damn championship. That, my friends, is trading for chips. That's how it's done sometimes. Sometimes you don't make a move and it works. Sometimes you make a move and it works. And for this case, Andrew, congratulations. The moves you made worked out. So that's one case where we would have had a different champion than we do now. So congratulations, Andrew. You won those trades. And if we keep going forward, you may have won the trades overall. But let's see. There may be somebody else who wins the trade overall. So, did I mention? So, yeah, you would have missed the playoffs if you didn't trade anybody. So, let's go to that big George versus Gio trade. So George and Gio at the beginning of the season traded away Le'Veon Bell and Stephon Diggs for Thomas Rawls, Julian Edelman, and Ezekiel Elliott. Looked kind of even at the time. At the end of the season, seemed like it was a little more lopsided towards the Gio side with Le'Veon Bell and everything, because later on he got Antonio Brown. But let's look at just George, because I'm going to put in Antonio Brown later when I go over Gio. But let's put in just George, and let's see how he would have done. So George's case, George's team with Ezekiel Elliott scored 1,240 points. George's team with Le'Veon Bell and Stephon Diggs would have scored 1,225. So would have actually scored 15 less points. So George, from the point, looks like he would have won the match. All right? Well, George finished with a 4-9 record. What would his record have been if he didn't trade Le'Veon Bell and he kept? If he didn't trade Le'Veon Bell and he kept Le'Veon Bell? Oh no. Yes, if he kept Le'Veon Bell, George would have been 5-8. So not much better. That's it. You wouldn't have been crazy better if your team would have been 5-8. You would have missed the playoffs again still. Doesn't matter. Which is crazy. You would have scored less points, but you would have been 5-8. Something similar comes up soon with that. Let's look at Gio. Actually, you know what? Let's look at Ed. So Ed made a trade. He traded away Antonio Brown for Stephon Diggs, Terrell Pryor, and Spencer Ware. What did that do for Ed? Well, Ed would have ended up finishing with the same record, but he would have had more points without doing the trade than doing the trade. So trading away one player for 3, and you ended up scoring less points. Actually, 40 points you missed out by. Now, what did that 40 points do? Let's say Ed doesn't trade away Antonio Brown, and let's say Andrew never trades away his players. Remember those 6 and 7 records, a whole bunch? Well, Ed finished 8th as of right now with trading away Antonio Brown. If he doesn't trade away Antonio Brown, Ed moves into the playoffs. Right? If Andrew doesn't make those trades and Ed doesn't make those trades, Ed's in the playoffs with a 6 and 7 record and more points than anybody besides Joe. He would have been in the 6th spot. But it's just crazy. Every move not only affect your team, but affect other players' teams. It's crazy, crazy, crazy looking at this stuff. But let's look at our number 1 seed going into the playoffs, Gio. This one's a little fun. So, Gio, with your trades of trading away Thomas Rawls, Julian Edelman, Ezekiel Elliott, Spencer Ware, and Terrell Pryor, and getting Le'Veon Bell, Stephon Diggs, and Antonio Brown, and later trading away Stephon Diggs, let's see how your team would have done. So, your team, regular season, scored 1,457 points, led the league in points scored. Without the trade, if you didn't trade, your team would have scored 1,470 points and led the league in points by a way wider margin. So you would have scored a total of 13 more points. All right, 13 more points. It is what it is. During the season, what does that do? Well, scoring 13 more points and making those trades, you would have actually ended up with a lesser record. You finished the season with a 10-3 record. That's right. I meant mind block. 10-3 record. Well, if you didn't trade away those players, you would have finished with a 9-4 record. Less wins because you would have lost to me in week 2, but that's okay. You still would have finished in 2nd place overall for the regular season. You would have lost $100 because you wouldn't have finished in 2nd, but you would have had the 2 seed. You still had to buy it. All else equal, you don't make those trades. Everybody else would have stayed the same in their respective standings. Except for you. Alex would have been 1st. You would have been 2nd. What happens? Well, remember, Joe didn't play DeMarco Murray, so he actually ended up losing to Rich and Mark. you would have played Richard Mark the next week as his number 2 seed. So by losing one game, you actually end up with a better game facing Richard Mark because you would have beat Richard Mark in your semifinal matchup, that you lost to Andrew. So you would have been in the championship going against Andrew. And what would your team have done against Andrew? Your team would have won. In 2 different scenarios, Andrew doesn't make his trades, Gio doesn't make his trades, and Gio wins the championship. But because those trades were made, Gio doesn't win the championship, doesn't make it to the semifinal, doesn't make it to the finals, and finishes 3rd. An incredible thing to look at. By losing one game, you actually would have wanted to lose one game because then you would have made it to the finals and won as the 2 seed. But because you dominated and you were so good and finished with a 10-3 record, and most points scored in the league, you finished with 1 seed, and you faced Andrew, a dominating force in the playoffs, and you lost. Incredible. Sometimes trades work, sometimes trades don't. Trade worked for Andrew, trade didn't work for Gio. It is what it is. My trades didn't work, as you can tell. I still finished crappy. But it was just really cool to kind of look at this and say, man, what if nobody did this? What if somebody did this? A lot of fun. So that's it, guys. Little trade evaluation. That was a lot of fun to do. Maybe I'll do something else later on, but I do want to actually go back and I don't know if there's any more analysis I can do, but I just want to say congratulations to Andrew again, finishing 1st place, first-time champion. Awesome job, my man. Awesome job. Alex, nice job. Nice, great season for you, finishing 2nd place overall. And Gio, congratulations, dude. You still made money, even though, and of course, the thing is this, if you ended up finishing in 2nd overall, you would have lost $100, but you would have gained 800. You would have made out big this year, probably almost winning at least half the pot. But awesome job overall. Great. Another great season. I'm thinking maybe I'll do another video just to close out the season. But just want to say thank you guys for another great season. Again, as the commish, it feels good to have another season in the books. Stinks I'm not the champion. I'm going to have to give this away draft day. But I don't mind giving it to my boy Andrew. Congratulations on the victory. And hey, I'll see you guys soon.